What is SOG? Military Assistance Command Vietnam Studies and Observations Group was a highly classified, multi-service United States Special Operations Unit which conducted covert unconventional warfare operations prior to and during the Vietnam War. Established on 24 January 1964, the unit conducted strategic reconnaissance missions in the Republic of Vietnam, South Vietnam, the Democratic Republic of Vietnam, North Vietnam, Laos, and Cambodia. Carried out the capture of enemy prisoners, rescued downed pilots, conducted rescue operations to retrieve prisoners of war throughout Southeast Asia, and conducted clandestine agent team activities and psychological operations. I am your host, Bruce Christensen. The history of SOG tells the stories of those who have fought valiantly to protect the liberty we hold most dear. The history of SOG has preserved and honors the legendary feats of our SOG soldiers. The history of SOG provides military history to today's soldiers, veterans of all conflicts, their families, and to the public at large. Our mission is to educate, inspire and engage our communities now and for generations to come. I have embarked on an adventure of epic proportion. I have designed a new website, the History of Military Assistance Command Vietnam Studies and Observations Group. Within the contents of the site, I have documented all aspects of SOG from 1964 to 1972, including overall history of SOG, SOG chiefs, bases, mission, teams, virtual museum, individual stories, pictures, videos and so much more. There is also a store to promote SOG authors, books, and other SOG-related items. www.sogsite.com. My father Paul Christensen was assigned to SOG. Although he never talked about it, I did see his pictures and plaques. I knew he was a Green Beret, but not until my 30s did I find out what SOG was all about. The website, blogs and videos are dedicated to all the SOG warriors and the supporting units, such as the air assets, maritime operations, MiC forces and all of the indigenous troops assigned to SOG. One such warrior is Bob Donoghue. Bob Donoghue was born on December 12, 1945 in Oakland, California. Bob graduated from Windsor High School, Windsor, Connecticut, class of 1964. Bob joined the Army on 18 November 1964. Bob's first tour of Vietnam was in November 65-66, assigned to 41st Signal Battalion of Pleiku. In January 1966 Bob was loaned out to OTA 227 at Bong Son for Operation Masher. In July 1966 Bob was loaned out to OTA 251 at Plei Jaring for 10 days. Then sent to OTA 253 at Donoghue. Donoghue had experienced high losses, and Bob was asked if he would assist them. Bob was paired up with Special Forces Sergeant Bob Johnson. They took a patrol out to the Chu Pong outpost on the border. A few days later, a 3/4-ton truck with indigenous hit a landmine, and there was a lot of wounded in action. Sergeant Bob Johnson and Bob Donoghue went out there, and Sergeant Johnson guided Bob Donoghue with instructions on how to treat the wounded. The few weeks that Bob spent with Sergeant Johnson convinced Bob Donoghue that he wanted to be in Special Forces. Bob's team wrote some letters for him. The B team in Pleiku arranged an interview at the Special Forces Operations Base in Nha Trang. At the Special Forces Operations Base, Bob passed a written test and the interview. Orders were requested for him to attend jump school at Fort Benning, with follow-on orders to attend Special Forces Training Group at Fort Bragg. After training group, Bob Donoghue was assigned to Company A, 3rd Special Forces Group. Sergeant Major Francis Reddy, who put his beret on JFK's casket, was in charge. 3rd Group was doing classified missions in the Congo. If you were black or spoke French, you were forward deployed. Bob had two choices. 1. Permanent KP duty 3 days a week in the mess hall or permanent CQ 4 days a week. Bob chose number 1. After 2 weeks Bob went to the payphone outside the mess hall and called Mrs. Billy Alexander. Bob told her his dilemma. She said the only opening was in SOG. Bob asked her what SOG was. She said it was classified but to ask around. Bob told her that he would take it, and the next day the sergeant major called Bob in and said, "You have orders for SOG." The people that Bob asked what SOG was all about, they said, "You are going to die there." My first mission across the fence. Written by Bob Donoghue. Narrated by the history of MACV-SOG. Location: FOB 3K Son. Date: April 1968. Mission: Area Recon to locate the 340th NVA Division. I was assigned to Spike Team Tiger as a replacement for Staff Sergeant Gary L. Crone, who was killed by small arms fire on 29 January 1968 while clearing out NVA forward observers on Hill 471. The siege of Khe Sanh had started on 21 January 1968, and Hill 471 was located 2.3 kilometers due south of Khe Sanh FOB-3 and the Marine Combat Base. NVA artillery spotters used Hill 471 to adjust fires onto the base. Sergeant First Class Lloyd O.D. O'Daniel was the 1-0 assigned to the team. He was highly experienced veteran SOG operator. A mission came down for ST Tiger. Due to heavy casualties, all the teams were forced to be creative locating and filling out the teams. Some personnel were even borrowed from FOB-1 and FOB-4. A good example was OD, who was assigned to ST Tiger as the 1-0, but was also working with the S3 in operations. Because of OD's dual responsibilities, he assigned Sergeant First Class Carr Garland as the 1-0 and Sergeant First Class Samuel Hernandez as the 1-1. OD came and told me that I was not going on the mission due to my lack of experience. Sergeant Charles Willoughby was to be the 1-2. I was pissed. Sam and I were sharing a sleeping bunker together. It was freezing at night and we only had a poncho liner. We were spooning for a few weeks until we got some blankets on a resupply drop. When the team returned from the mission, Sam told me that Willoughby was coming off the team and I was now the new 1-2. It seems that while on the mission, Sam had found a candy wrapper that had been dropped on the ground. This was a big no-no. Earlier, another team's commo man lost the team signal operating instructions SOI. It had slipped out of his cargo pocket. The SOI are issued for the technical control and coordination of communications for the team. They include radio call signs, frequencies, code words, and visual signals. Losing a SOI means that every team, aircraft, FOB headquarters would need to destroy their current SOI and request a new one. The person who lost the SOI was removed from SOG. Several weeks went by when ST Tiger was alerted for an upcoming mission. It seems that the 304th NVA Division was missing, and ST Tiger would try and locate it by conducting an area recon north of the Zipan River along Highway 9 inside Laos. OD came by and briefed us. Tiger would deploy with 3 Americans and 4 Bru tribesmen. Due to the 53 years since I was there, I cannot remember which Bru we took, but I believe they were the 4 I have photographed at the end of this story. Garland and I would be picked up by a King Bee and fly an aerial recon of the AO. We would need to locate 2 infill landing zones, one as the primary and a second for the alternate. Exfiltration landing zones would also be needed. First Light a King Bee landed at the Khe Sanh airfield, and after a quick briefing and equipment check we were on our way. For security reasons we did not overfly any potential landing zones. However, the exfiltration area was thick jungle, and we decided to use an old bomb crater. On the flight back to the border I observed a few old triangular defensive positions. They were small compared to anything I had seen in the past. Back at the FOB we were debriefed by the S2, who explained that what we saw was an old secret CIA and SOG program known as Project Elephant, BV-33. It started years earlier as part of White Star and then turned over to Special Projects. Finishing up with the S2 brief, we returned to our team and started packing rucksacks, test firing weapons, and doing a commo check. The mission would start the next day. Day 1. The King BH-34 picked up our team at the airfield about 2 hours before sunset. Our flight took us south near Langvei, then west-northwest across the border. Staying about 15 clicks north of Highway 9 and the Zipan River, we soon reached our AO, area of operation. Our infiltration landing zone was a small clearing of elephant grass. As we approached the LZ, I was overcome with a healthy amount of fear. My legs started shaking, and I was afraid that everyone in the chopper would see that I was scared. Seconds later I was on the ground heading for the tree line. The team formed a perimeter, and as the sounds of the King Bee faded off into the distance I called Covey and gave the all clear sign. I was now calm with just a healthy amount of fear. We listened for several minutes for any sounds of enemy movement, but there was not any. Darkness was soon approaching, and we found a thick area of undergrowth that we crawled into for the night. Midnight came and I made a commo check by squelch to Moonbeam. Moonbeam was a C-130 that flew all night over Laos. One click of the handset from me would be answered by 2 clicks from Moonbeam. Day 2. First light began day 2. I had to make a A to M commo check to make with Hillsborough. This was made by squelch. Hillsborough was the daytime C-130. Our old French map showed that we had 2 ridge lines to cross before being able to observe the Zipon River Valley. The afternoon would reveal the truth, there was 3 ridge lines to climb. Just before reaching the top of the last ridge or hilltop we came to a high-speed trail. It was about 12 feet wide, concealed from the air and several strands of commo wire running along the side. The team had no wiretap equipment, so we left it alone, backed off, and continued down towards the road, Highway 9. We found a good spot to observe the road and river and take a break. Arland and I got together and wrote a SITREP situation report, which I had to encrypt and send to Hickory, our radio relay site, by PRC-25 FM. By this time, the team was getting seriously low on water. Climbing the 3rd ridgeline had taken more time and consumed more water than we had calculated. Mission planning had been based on 2 ridgelines to cross, not 3. Covey asked if we needed a water resupply. We did not want to bring attention to us, but we could not hump hills without water. Our problem was solved when Covey informed us that a large thunderstorm was headed our way. We stretched out a ground cloth, and soon a heavy downpour drenched us, and all our canteens were refilled. The storm had moved on, and the sun soon dried us off. Traveling due west, paralleling the road, movement was now hindered by wait-a-minute vines. They are called this because as you move through them, they wrap around your body, weapon, rucksack and then take a minute to untangle yourself. We crossed several small streams and trails heading north from the valley. Several of these trails had commo wire along their side. Each one had to be noted in our notebook as to location, direction, size, and anything deemed important like the commo wire. Day 2 was ending when in the distance we heard a single gunshot. This could only mean that a tracker had picked up our trail and was signaling. A dense thicket was found which would be our overnight resting spot. Claymore mines and a few toe poppers were emplaced around our thicket. The 1800-hour commo check was made, and Covey was told about the signal shot. During the night there was quite a few displays of 37 Mike anti-aircraft rounds going off to the west. The team maintained a 50% alert status until daybreak. Day 4. At first light, Covey came up on the radio to brief us about our extraction. There would be a King B and 2 Marine Huey UH-1Es gunships. Contact with the aircraft would be by signal mirror. The exfil LZ was about 300 meters from our location. 2 crew were sent out to recon the LZ. 1 returned and gave an all clear. The team movement to the LZ was uneventful. We notified Covey that we were ready for pickup. Soon we heard the helicopters, and a gunship pilot requested a mirror flash to show our location. Since the wind was from the north, we asked that the King B land from the south. The team was positioned on the east side of the LZ as the H-34's door was on the right side. Well, the King B came in 180 degrees opposite of our request, causing a dangerous run around. Half a team had to carefully avoid the tail rotor. Garland was the last to load on the helicopter, and the King B lifted off and headed east to Vietnam and Khe Sanh. Arriving at Khe Sanh there was a large crowd meeting us and handing out beers. The team was given an hour to clean up and eat something for breakfast. Of course, the only food available was PIRs, lerps, and sea rations. The rest of the morning was taken up at the operations bunker with our debriefing. St. Tiger came away from this as a successful mission. 4 days on the ground with no casualties. Elements of the 304th NVA Division were proven to be in the area that our artillery strike had hit. This was backed up by signal intelligence the next day. Myself, I was no longer a cherry, having completed my first mission. When the TDY teams left Vietnam, St. Tiger and another team took over HF El Dorado. Bob's team was relocated to My Loc. In November 1968 Bob expiration term of service ETS out of active duty and joined the 11th Special Forces at Fort Stevens. In 1984 the 11th Special Forces was closed out and Bob transferred to the 20th Special Forces Group. Bob retired in 1999 as a Master Sergeant running the company's operations. Once Vietnam was reopened to Americans, Bob returned back to Vietnam many times. There he assisted the Brew Mountain Yards with medical supplies, clothing and money. Bob is a member of the Special Operations Association SOA and has donated many SOG-related items to SOA. These items are displayed at SOAR and hopefully in the Special Operations Association Museum when built. Bob Donoghue, the true American hero.